I am Secretary Tom Smith of the West Virginia DOT and very happy to be here in Parkersburg with you today. Great day to be here, great day to talk about the road bond, to talk about progress in West Virginia, and we're going to go ahead and get started. The governor's on his way, he'll be in a few minutes, but what we're going to do is ask a few folks to make some quick opening remarks, and when the governor gets here I will introduce him, and I know he's very anxious to tell you about the road bond program and some of the implications, and so let's go ahead and get started. The first person I'd like to introduce is Chief of Staff Mike Hall, and have Mike come forward and make a few opening remarks.
Busy day today. Good morning, everyone. I'm not going to steal the thunder of the people that come after me, but I just want to say thank you all for coming today. From the road bond perspective, I recently switched jobs. I was the Senate Finance Chairman with my president there, Senator Carmichael from Jackson County. And I can tell you that when the governor talks about the importance of this, you're going to shore up the road fund, but it's going to spill over and help the general revenue fund. He's going to make that point. I just want to say a couple things you're going to hear about is that when you put a bond deal together like this and in great detail, there are some that said, oh my goodness, can you all afford it? Well, what happened was last June, the legislature voted to put the revenue in place, to put this bond in place. And you really face a very simple decision. It's very simple. We're going to have an extra $130 million a year going forward. The question is, some say, well, why don't you just use that and don't borrow the money? And I'd say it's real simple, folks. If the bond market in New York is willing to loan the state of West Virginia $1.6 billion at 3.5%, so we can build these roads now, why wouldn't you do that? I mean, there may be somebody in here that built a house room by room, and it was all paid for 25 years later. But most of us, if we build a house, we borrow the money, build it all, live in it for 25 years, and pay it off little by little. That's really what you're being asked to do. In spite of all the confusion, that cuts to the chase. The highway department, as you're going to see, has already designed with this map projects all over the state. They've used, to deal with another objection, they've used an objective criteria. They've used best practices to select where these sites are. People question, well, you're just going to build a road here or there for your favorite people? No. It's all been done in a manner that's objective and fair, and actually there'll be input back from you as well as you get into this, and maybe something would be adjusted along the way. So I just want to make those opening remarks. They're going to fill in the details. I'm certainly happy that you're here this morning. We certainly encourage you to do this. As the governor says, this is perhaps the most important vote you've cast in a long time. Actually, he says it's the most important vote you've ever cast, but it's a very important vote to support this and get people out to do it. So thank you for being here today. You're going to hear a lot more from other speakers. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, Chief. Next, we're going to hear from Sceve Roberts, Chamber of Commerce. If you come on up, Steve, and make some opening remarks.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Hi, I'm Sceve Roberts. I'm the president of the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here to talk about how important we believe the bond election is for West Virginia's future. The West Virginia Chamber of Commerce is an organization that represents 5,000 members who are in every community and region of our state. Members of the Chamber of Commerce employ over half of West Virginia's workforce. And several weeks ago, after a description of what this program does, our membership voted unanimously to be in support. Since that time, many local chambers have expressed their support for Amendment 1. The election is on October 7th. Early voting begins Friday, September 22nd. And as Chamber of Commerce boards are meeting, more and more are coming on in support already. Huntington, Charleston, Morgantown, Lewis County, Logan, Buchanan, Upshur, all over the state, local chambers have voted to be in support of this. They are business people who recognize that without infrastructure, we can't do the things in our state that we all want to do. But let me move a little beyond that and tell you why I have so much passion for getting this job done. I want to thank you all very much for being here because I know you care about West Virginia and its future too. I am honored to be working with a group that includes educators, that includes representatives of labor unions, that includes our state's leaders in so many regards. And we have all taken a look at what is at stake, what our future is like, and we believe that the very best option for us is to be yes on Amendment 1. Let me talk about it just a few things. First of all, in terms of jump-starting our economy, we have 48,000 jobs available by passing Amendment 1. West Virginia needs those jobs. Those jobs will jumpstart our economy in a way that we don't have another plan to do to jumpstart our economy. Amendment 1 will fix our roads. We have places in this state where the roads have not been built yet. And we have places in this state where the roads that are built are in desperate need of repair. We have bridges that need to be replaced. We have roadways that need to be widened. We have roads that need to be made safer. Amendment 1 will allow us to do that and not do it in our grandchildren's lifetime, but in our lifetime. We also have the opportunity to do this without passing any brand new taxes or fees. We can pay for it out of existing revenue that has already been approved by the legislature. So as business people, we are honored to be working with educators. We are honored to be working with organized labor. We're honored to be working with Chris Hamilton of the Business and Industry Council, with Rebecca McPhail of the West Virginia Manufacturers Association. Honored to be working with Dale Lee, who's here representing the West Virginia Education Association. And we are strongly in favor of yes on 1. We think we have an opportunity that may not come our way again. I have not seen an opportunity like this in a generation. I'm sort of with Mike Hall. The governor says it is the biggest thing. I think it clearly is the biggest thing in a generation. Every place I go in West Virginia, I hear from people who say, okay, now that I know what this is about, I can be for it too. But I will conclude with that so that there is time for the next speaker to get up here. Thank you very much for giving me some time. I will be here and happy to take questions as you have them at the appropriate time. Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Next, we will hear from Dale Lee, Mr. Dale Lee, West Virginia Educators Association.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. I'm Dale Lee. I'm the president of the West Virginia Education Association. And I come at this in a little different way. We all will talk about the roads and the jobs that it will provide. But to me, it's a safety issue. It's a safety issue for our students, our children, our teachers and educators who are traveling these roads every day. In the first 3 weeks of August, I spent the time traveling across the state of West Virginia at the opening of schools. And I went to places where the roads have caved in and students that used to be picked up at one point, now their parents have to get them there the best way they can, maybe as much as a mile away to be able to be picked up by the bus. I've seen roads in southern West Virginia that have caved in and are almost impassable. I've seen roads in the eastern panhandle that have potholes so terrible that it's unreal. And the same thing in the northern panhandle, the Morgantown area, and all over the state of West Virginia. This is about the safety of our kids for us. It's about our kids knowing that when they get on that bus, they're going to come back safe that evening. It's also about the jobs, about bringing the kids back into West Virginia. Most of our state has a declining enrollment because there's not the jobs available, and the parents have to move away and the students go with them. This is a way to bring West Virginians back. I'm a lifelong West Virginian. Love the state, and it's tremendous what we can do. This is, as everyone else will say, a huge, important vote for us in West Virginia. We have to jumpstart this economy. We have to provide jobs to West Virginia. And most importantly, we have to make sure that our children, our most precious commodity, are safe every day. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dale. Our next speaker is Mr. Chris Hamilton, West Virginia Coal Association and Business Council. Come on up, Chris.
Hey, good morning. Hey, thanks for coming out. Really appreciate the turnout. Jill, this is one of the greater Chamber of Commerce facilities I've been in throughout the state. Thank you for hosting today's event. I am with the Business and Industry Council. A lot of people refer to that as BIC. It's an umbrella trade association. Our membership includes the majority of all the business trade associations around the state. That includes the Coal Association, the oil and gas industry, the manufacturing industry, the retailers, the foresters, the Farm Bureau, and that list goes on and on and on. We cover some 26 major industrial groups within the state. We represent about 400,000 employees across those 26 business categories. And it's just a real pleasure to be here. We are all in for this amendment. We hold as our core values economic development and job creation, job development. And when you think of our low workforce participation rate today, it's one of the things that we're leading the country in. It's about 1 out of every 2 West Virginians that's capable of working is actually working. And here we have an opportunity to bring in, according to the Duke University study, about 48,000 new jobs. The primary industry that I represent, the coal industry, has about half the workers today that it had 10 years ago. And a lot of those workers are experiencing different trade development programs. A lot of them are back in the community and technical college system. And these guys are great dozer operators. They're great truck drivers. A lot of manual laborers within that tens of 10,000 plus core of people that's looking for a job today. And I think we all also recognize that when you don't have a job, it really leads to the undesirable consequences that we all see around us here within our state. So we have an opportunity, to bring on 48,000 jobs. And there's some cynics with that number. There are those who say maybe it's not 48,000, maybe it's only 45, or maybe it's only 42,000. We have about 12,000 coal miners working in the state right now. Again, about half the number. So just think about that for a moment. We have an opportunity to triple the number of working miners we have in the state with these road construction jobs, these equipment operational jobs. We don't see a downside to this proposal. The revenue measures that are going to pay the bonds are already in place. So when this passes on October 7th, there will be no new fees, no new taxes, no levies of any sort. And we just fail to see a downside. So we're all in. We support the governor wholeheartedly. This was a centerpiece of his campaign throughout the state before and after he was elected. And it's taken a little while to resonate and a little while to really appreciate all the implications and ramifications to this proposal. But please, the other thing we have to do is get the vote out. It's going to be a sunny October 7th day. I understand neither WVU or Marshall are playing at home, which is a plus. Maybe it had something to do with the date, why that date was picked. But early voting starts in a week. And it's just important to take one of those 10 days and go to the polls, take your family and friends, and let's get this done so we can truly get on the road to prosperity. Thank you so much. Appreciate your attention. Appreciate your support.
Thanks, Chris. As the West Virginia DOT works on highway projects, 2 key groups that help us tremendously are our West Virginia consultants. Michael Haight is here from the West Virginia, representing our West Virginia consultants, and then Mike Clowser from the Contractors Association of West Virginia. Key private side partners that help us tremendously, and so I'm going to ask Mr. Mike Clowser to come forward and make some remarks from that side.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I'm Mike Clowser. I'm with the Contractors Association of West Virginia. Honored to have with me today Roger Thomas, who is our incoming president of the Contractors Association. And And before I start, I just want to comment on Secretary Smith and talking about the opportunities that are out there. Since Tom has come on board, we have seen work already started within the state of West Virginia to fix our roads and repair our bridges. Tuesday, at the letting on Tuesday, we had the largest highway letting in the history of the state of West Virginia. $275 million worth of projects were let. Many of our members within the association participated in that letting on Tuesday. And Tom, we see that as something that is just the start of many things to come. You know, obviously from our association, has been mentioned, we're talking about jobs. We're talking about thousands of jobs, but we're also talking about jobs throughout the entire state of West Virginia, because when our contractors are busy and they're working and their employees are working, we are buying cars, we are buying trucks, we are staying at the local hotels, we are buying food and eating at the restaurants. So we see this not only as jobs within the construction industry, but rippling throughout the entire state of West Virginia. And because we have not had much highway investment over the last 4 or 5 years, many of our members are working out of state. Our members are bidding in Ohio and Virginia and Maryland and all around. And we see this as a great opportunity to bring West Virginians home and great opportunity to get them working on a daily basis here in West Virginia. And for those people who have left West Virginia for opportunities elsewhere, we're hoping they are coming home, and we are hoping they're bringing their children, who will be the future workforce of the state of West Virginia. We feel, as the speakers who have talked before, you know, this is also a quality of life for the state of West Virginia. You know, we as a state rely everything we do on our highway system to bring in our goods, to bring in our to transport products. You know, every time that we bring in, someone brings milk to the local Go-Mart, if that truck has to go 25 miles out of its way because of a posted bridge, you know, obviously that charge gets added on to the cost of the gallon of milk. So we see this as a great opportunity to move West Virginia forward. We see it as a great opportunity to create future economic development. If we can complete our transportation system, we can continue to look at bringing in Macy's and Procter & Gamble and cracker plants and Toyotas and Hino and other things that have created jobs throughout the state of West Virginia. So, Mr. Secretary, we are honored to be here today. We look forward to working with you. We look forward to working with your staff, and certainly to get this amendment moving and passed and start creating jobs in West Virginia. So, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Mike. Mike mentioned the letting on Tuesday, biggest letting in West Virginia DOT history, about $275 million estimated. We were very encouraged by the results. The total bids came in about $260 million, so bids largely came in under estimate. Our West Virginia contractors performed admirably. Almost all of those projects were projects that will probably go to West Virginia contractors. So again, a great day, and we've just started. We really look forward to what we can do with the general obligation bond. You need to realize that the general obligation bond referendum allows us to get to the most expensive projects. These are the projects on this list. The work that we've started is all over the state doing smaller or medium-sized work, but the bond actually is the funding source for these major projects that are very expensive. I'd like you to look at the pie chart over here to my left. The pie chart really tells the story that we've got a lot of good stuff going, and the work that we've talked about is the blue and the mustard colored up in the corner there. That's the smaller to medium-sized work that's already started, but the general obligation bond is the green slice of the pie. It's the big kahuna. It's really so much of the total program is reliant upon that. Now, you all need to be aware that we have to do those projects anyway. Those projects that are high cost have to be done. Without the general obligation bond referendum passing, we will have to find a way to fund those projects out of the existing dollars that we have, and it pulls everything back. So a lot of the work that we started, we have to start contracting if the bond did not pass. No new taxes required. So the legislature did the work of passing the revenues earlier this year. I'd like to call the President of the Senate, Mr. Mitch Carmichael, forward to make some remarks now as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, thank you. It's an honor to be with you. I am Mitch Carmichael from Ripley, West Virginia. I have the honor of serving as President of the Senate. I'm your neighbor to the south, and when we came to the city, from Ripley, we went to Parkersburg. We come to Parkersburg, so it's a pleasure to be with you today. And I really want to speak to you from the perspective, first, thank you for being here, to learn more about this and to determine how you want to vote on this bond initiative. And so I just want to say a couple of the reasons why it's a really good vote to vote for this. So think about it from this perspective. I think our speaker must be out in the audience here or outside. He'll be in momentarily. But think about this. When you're making a decision whether or not to vote for this bond, you have more jobs, better roads, and no new taxes. What's the downside? There is no downside to voting for this. It's all upside potential. It's a simple decision on October 7th, really, to vote for more jobs, better roads, and it doesn't cost you anything. No new taxes. We ensured that from a legislative perspective that there would be no additional taxes as a result of passage of this bond initiative. It is a win-win-win. And from West Virginia's perspective, we are on the precipice, the cusp of doing great things from an economic perspective. We need a modern, safe transportation network in order to enable this growth and prosperity that we are on the cusp of attaining in West Virginia. Frankly, the last rankings for West Virginia from an economic perspective, we were second in growth only to Texas. You don't hear statistics like this about West Virginia often enough. We're on the move. We're on the march. We're doing great things. We need this bond passage to enable the transportation infrastructure network to be in place, to create those jobs and the opportunity, and to ensure you that you have no new taxes. Senator Hall, Chief of Staff Hall, said it best. When you think about going to a bank, borrowing the money, committing to the payments for 25 years, which is what we've done with this passage of the fees and revenue stream that we've already put in place, you go to the bank and say, I want to sign up for this, but I don't want to live in the house. That's what you would be doing by voting no. There is no downside to this referendum initiative. We are so excited about the opportunity. So if you're here making a decision and learning more about this, it truly is a win-win-win. I do want to recognize one of my colleagues I see in the back, Senator Mike Azinger is in the back of the room. So it's great to see you here, Mike, and it's great to be in your district. So again, from my perspective, thank you. It's an honor to be in the city of Parkersburg, and I look forward to working with you as we move West Virginia forward to greater economic times and progress. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I see my boss has arrived, so with that, I want to quickly introduce the man who had the vision for the roads program. A very large, aggressive, bold program, 48,000 immediate jobs, immediate economic recovery, immediate hope for our citizens. Governor Justice is the man who came up with the idea, who pushed it across the finish line. I know he's eager to tell you about why this is a no-brainer come October 7th. So, Governor Justice, I'd like to introduce our 36th governor of the state of West Virginia.
Good to see you. Thank all of you. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mike. I'm going to sit right here and talk to you, okay? Because my knee, this makes it a little easier on bad knee. Jimmy, how you doing? Well, listen, I know you've talked or heard from lots of people. And from my standpoint, you know, I will always talk to you just down home, plain truth. You know, I know you've heard over and over that this has nothing to do whatsoever with any tax increase. But I know you hear those from time to time that are kind of spewing out vile and spewing out whatever could come to their minds, and I don't have any idea why. Because at the end of the day, this truly is our chance. This truly will take us off. And the downside of it is this: what if we don't pass this? Now, I think all these gentlemen, I think anybody that has a brain can go back and look. When I rolled into this party, we had a $500 million hole in the bucket. And we went through all kinds of different gyrations, and the only monies that we put into the revenue, into our system, was a forecast from me, an estimate from me of what the economic gains of the roads would do. Now, if we don't do this, what are we going to do? Somebody, pray tell me what we're going to do. You know, along the way, I predicted that the severance tax would rise. I did that back in the campaigns. Everybody thought I was crazy. They have gotten better, but they won't save us. They won't save us. And if we pull the roads revenue, the economic benefit that I put into the budget, if we pull that out, we'll have to go back and cut more from higher ed, cut more from Medicaid or DHHR, cut more from K through 12. You're going to lose more schools. The bottom line is the roads aren't going to get fixed, and we're going to lose more population. Now that's it. We had to have an idea. I've said it over and over and over, and I'll say it very proudly wherever I may go. You know, and that's just this. I give the good Lord above credit for all the good ideas that happen in my life, and I'll take credit for the bad ones. But at the same time, I mean, this is an idea that is off the chart. It's basically just this. It's basically an idea of how do we create instantaneous jobs in West Virginia? How do you create now jobs? Now jobs. Well, I don't know any way in the world except our roads. That's it. Now, we can say, well, we'll build a pad and maybe a factory will come. And even if they do come, that may be years away. How do we have instant jobs? And the only way to have instant jobs that I know of is come up with a way that we can absolutely let or turn loose for bid all the jobs that we have engineered that are on the books, all the road jobs, everything. And come up with a way to put it all in a bucket, to put the funding that's already there. It's all in place now. There's no additional funding that you're going to need in any way whatsoever. Get the funding and put it all together and do what I know to do. What's right in my wheelhouse. Business stuff. How to put it together in a bond at really, really, really cheap interest rates and turn it into a gigantic amount of money and let all the road jobs tomorrow. And then you turn it into enormous amounts of jobs. Now, I'm going to tell you that if we don't do this, well, I would say somebody designate themselves to be the last person to turn out the lights when everybody's gone, because it'll be that bad. If we don't do this, in all honesty, West Virginia will some way, somehow, I guess, survive, but it'll be bad. Now, if I'm here and I've got to run and take a phone call, the vice president's, Mike Pence is going to be calling me here about something that he wants to talk about in just a few minutes. You may wonder, well, good gosh, are you kidding me? The vice president's going to call? Well, he is. He's going to call on my little flip phone back there. But the net of the whole thing is just this. You know, the president's been here up times, and the vice president's been here. Well, ask yourself, well, why in the world are they coming to West Virginia? Well, in all honesty, I'm going to tell you just straight up, they're coming because of me. I've got a real relationship with these people, and these people genuinely care for West Virginia, and they're trying to do good stuff for West Virginia. They really are. Now, if there's anybody in this crowd that says, well, you know, Justice, you ran as a Democrat and then you changed to Republican and everything, I would say to you this over and over. At the end of the day, we need to first and foremost today, be West Virginians, and not Republicans and Democrats and independents. We need to be West Virginians. Now, we could go through the blow by blow, but the net of the whole thing was this good man is our president, and I really hit it off, and we worked really, really, really hard together. And the Senate was pretty much with me. And then we had enough House Republicans that were with me too. And we could have got a lot more done. We could have helped our vets, and we could have helped our miners, and we could have helped our teachers, and we could have helped lots more people. But when it came to crunch time, the very people that should have been with me are the people within the Democratic Party at that time, and they left me. And when they did, everything reeled and fell apart. Everything, over just political garbage. Well, I can't keep doing that. You see, in my life, really, I've been a Republican, I've been a Democrat, I've been a Republican, back to a Democrat, back to a Republican. And I'm very, 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 very proud of my decision, no matter what anybody here may say. But all I'm trying to do is help you. That's it. That's all I want to do. All I want to do is not, the one thing I'm not going to do is just go ride in the parade and shake hands and be governor. You see, I don't have any ambition to do that at all. I want to get something done. That's all there is to it. And so, you know, the net of the whole thing is that's what I'm going to do. So I'd like to do this. I'd like to just take time, because they've already rehashed everything over and over and over. You know the condition of our roads, and you know the opportunity of what new roads would bring, and you know the safety of our roads today and our children out on our roads, and what's the next terrible story that's going to come to us where a school bus has gone off a slip or something like that. What's going to come next? And so we know that, and we know what new roads would bring us as far as opportunity to our state, whether it be tourism or manufacturing or on and on. But just think about this just a second. What would the payroll tax be? The payroll tax. What would the payroll tax be on 48,000 new jobs at 50,000 apiece? What would the payroll tax be? Well, it's almost $200 million. Well, that can go back into everything. That can go back into education or our vets or Medicaid or whatever. It can go into anything. What would the sales tax be on those people spending dollars here? It's another $200 million. Then what's the income tax going to be on those people being here? And it just goes on and on and on and on. It's our real chance. And so the net of the whole thing is, I'm not going to rehash all the ground that they've come up with and everything, and I'm sure that they've told you great, great, great stuff, maybe better than I see Coach Stevens sitting back here, and I kind of like him because I was able to beat him maybe once or twice, but he worked on me hard. I mean, that's all there is to it. But I see a lot of friends and everything, and I want you to ask me anything that you may want to ask. And I'll lead off by saying just this, and here's something that I really want to hear from. I want you to honestly tell me, because you see, I think it would be completely crazy. Do you know anybody? Do you know anybody within your family or yourself or an in-law, an outlaw, even Crazy Harry down at the 7-Eleven? Do you know anybody that's going to vote against this? Anybody? Anybody? I'm waiting for somebody to say, oh yeah, I've heard of some, I know somebody. Well then ask me questions. Yes, sir, Jimmy.
I think I think, Governor, you made great points, so did all the other speakers. But if somebody puts it on a personal level, like, I don't like you, you know, but I love you. I mean,
God, you just broke my heart. And now I got you back.
I think that they put this on a personal level and not look above where it ought to be. It's for the people of the state of West Virginia who drive on cow paths every day. We have a section on Emerson Avenue that was probably there when the Prairie Schooners started going that way.
Right.
It's built for the 1920s and 1930s, and this is whatever this year is, 2017, and the damn road is still needs widened and fixed, and you'll do that when we do 21 too.
Right,
So,
right.
Can't be personal, it's gotta be for the state of West Virginia.
Well, that's exactly right. You know, you get people out there that are, you know, I mean, think how crazy this would be. People out there that would say, well, I don't like Jim Justice because he weighs too much, or I don't like me for that too. But, or I don't like Jim Justice because he switched parties or whatever, and I'm going to vote against the roads thing, and I'm going to show him. Gosh, how silly can you be? And I'm being nice and saying silly. But really and truly, you know, what this sounds like to me is this. You know, if you put it in that level and you don't remove it above that, here's what it is. It's Jethro Bodine standing beside the cement pond with an anvil in his hand, just like in his arms, just like this, and a chain tied to the anvil and tied to his leg. And Jed walked up and said, Jethro, what are you doing? He said, my girl done dumped me, and I'm going to drop the anvil in the swimming pool and drown myself. And Jed said, well, Jethro, what good's that going to do you? And Jethro stood there and looked like this and said, Pert and I made a mistake, didn't Uncle Jed? Well, that's what it would be like. It would be just that. It'd be Jethro Bodine style. So, ask me anything you want to ask. Yes, sir.
I have another track on it.
Okay.
Not that this is a bad idea. I think it's a good idea. What's the possibility of using your influence with the Trump administration to get another federal agency into the state of West Virginia to bring the jobs and money it brings?
All that's possible. The question was, what's the possibility of my influence with the Trump people to bring another agency into West Virginia that could bring lots of jobs and employment and everything? Listen, let me just tell you this. The Trump administration, I mean, let's just put it all on the table, okay? First of all, I'm great friends. You know, I'm with them a lot, and so we're great friends. The other thing is, for whatever the reason may be, Donald Trump and his agency, they are truly trying to help West Virginia. They're trying. Now, you know that. I mean, compared to other presidents and whatever, I mean, you know their presence and you know they're trying. They're trying. Now, do they have to try? Well, of course they don't. Do you honestly think that the Trump people are going to lose West Virginia in the next election? There's not a chance on the planet. You're a given to them. I'm a given to them. But they're trying. Now, they're trying because they care and they want goodness for West Virginia. Now, you know, I very proudly say they're trying because they like me too. And so all that being said, I don't know if what's going to happen for sure is this unbelievable natural gas manufacturing hub that could bring untold billions and billions and billions of dollars into West Virginia. And they estimated 100,000 jobs. I mean, it could be unreal what could happen from that. Do I know for sure it's going to be that? No. Do I know for sure that they're going to do something that's going to help Central App and Northern App coal? No, I don't know for sure. Do I know for sure that they're going to do something that's going to really help us with furniture manufacturing and the contribution of what our hardwoods do within West Virginia? I don't know for sure. But I know they are trying. They are genuinely trying, and I know that good stuff is going to come to West Virginia, federal stuff. And I know this too. I know we're going to do this thing here, and this is going to create all kinds of jobs, and off we go. What if we don't do this? They're going to be setting up there, the federal government. Here's exactly what they're going to say. They're going to say, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? West Virginia had this that they could do for themselves. They're going to say, you can't help West Virginia. I mean, if those people didn't go for this, why are we wasting our time trying to help West Virginia? That's what they're going to do, and that's perfectly logical. I mean, there is no logic to not doing this. There is no logic. This will help us beyond all comprehension. But you know what will happen after this happens? Here's the next thing that will happen. You may say, well, when are all these jobs going to run out? Well, they're not going to run out because the roads are going to bring tourism, manufacturing, and all on and on and on. But no, but you know what's going to happen next? Donald Trump is going to get through, here's what he's hoping he's going to get through. Some way he's going to get through tax reform, and then he's going to some way, somehow try to address this healthcare issue that's imploding all around everybody now, you know. But after that, he's going to move right to his infrastructure program, $1 trillion program. It's probably a year away, maybe even more than that away, maybe 2 years away. Will we get a big piece of the pie? We will. We'll get a big piece of that pie. And then you know what'll happen? It'll make this just keep on going. It'll make this just keep going and keep going and keep going. We need another $6 or $7 billion in addition to all this to completely finish the road system, everything under the blooming sun. This is the first step. If we get another great big hit from the federal government, which I believe wholeheartedly we'll get, we'll keep rolling. Somebody else ask something else, please. Yes, ma'am.
Are you saying, and the other speakers saying, that the growth in jobs is what's going to bring in the money to repay the loan payments each month?
No, ma'am.
What are you saying? I don't get it.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, bless your heart, bless your heart. There's no such thing as just a bad question, no, ever. Here's the thing, the legislature, the last go-round, just think of 4 buckets that are sitting here, okay? They passed like a 3.3 cent wholesale gas increase. And that's in this bucket right here. And that's money coming in every month. About $10 million every month coming into the state government because of that. You're paying that right now. You don't even know it, you don't even notice it. It's so small that it doesn't even matter. The reason gas prices are up is these hurricanes. We all know that. And that'll all come back in line as soon as everything settles down with the hurricane situation. You know, but that bucket of your 3.3 cents is a bucket. It's sitting here, right? Now the next bucket is the legislature was good enough to pass changing the privilege tax if you buy a new car. If you buy a new car today, instead of paying 5%, you pay 6%. And that's that bucket right here. And the third bucket's right here is if you go to the DMV today and you pay for your license, your price of doing that hadn't changed in 40 years, but instead of you paying 30, now you pay 50. That's in that bucket. And this bucket over here deals with the turnpike tolls, which is all for itself over here. Now those 4 buckets are what pays the loan, pays the bond off. Those 4 buckets are already there. You don't have to worry about anything. The funding is already in these buckets, and we take all that constitutionally, we put it all toward the roads, and it pays the roads off. Doesn't have anything to do with maybe the income of the workers or anything like that. All that's free money to us. That's free money coming back to West Virginia to help education or the veterans or on and on and on. That's the stuff that will really get us going.
So we will not have an increase in taxes, but we have already had an increase in expenses. And if the bond does not pass, where does that money go?
It'll get peed away. Your money will get peed away in the government. That's exactly what'll happen. Your money will get peed away, and we won't get our roads done forever. That's what'll happen.
Governor, if I may make a comment along those same lines to this lady. I'm a small business owner and have restaurants in the state of West Virginia. I'm very encouraged because I'm excited about some of these projects being near my restaurants and driving traffic,
Sure.
sales, increasing the taxes. But also, just recently, I was encouraged to find out my restaurant in Ripley, I was contacted by a paving contractor who wants to lease property right beside my restaurant.
Very good.
And so there is this growth, I think, opportunity in ways that we may not even see right now.
That's right. Wait just a second, Jimmy. This fellow was going to ask something.
Governor Mark Lewis with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. I know you have a warm spot in your heart for tourism. And from the tourism standpoint, the folks that work at Convention and Visitors Bureaus, your division of tourism under the leadership of Chelsea Ruby, we're all out there working really hard to bring people from out of state to visit West Virginia. And we want them to go home talking about not only the amazing place they visited, but the great roads that they drove on to get there. And not complaining about a busted axle they got in a big old pothole somewhere on 160 going up over Jolly Mountain. So from the tourism standpoint, I think this is a very, very important thing. And our tourism brethren are with you on this.
Well, thank you. Let me say, wait one second. Let me say one thing along that line. Chelsea said the other day, I heard her say this, and she said, the length of stay for people tourism-wise that come to West Virginia is like 2.1 or something days. In every other state, the average of all the other rest of the states are 4.5 days. So people are going to other states that are staying twice as long as they're staying in West Virginia. And the reason for that is wholeheartedly almost our roads, because they can't go from place to place and feel safe and not tear their vehicles all to pieces and everything else. Now, the other thing that goes right with that is just this. Let's just say that Chris Hamilton knows of a business, that wants to come to West Virginia, and they've got 3,000 or 300 people. And we go through all the gyrations. I don't care what you give them. I don't care what in the world you give them. You could give them all a lollipop, you can give them money, you can give them the land, you can build a building, you can do everything under the sun. If we don't have a standard of life, a goodness of life, you'll never get them. And the first thing they look at is our schools. That's the very first thing they're going to want, because people want to live where there's good schools. Well, we got good schools. We really do have good schools. Now we can do a whole lot better there, no question whatsoever. We can do a lot of different things a whole lot better. But the other thing, they want safe schools. They want safe neighborhoods. Well, we've got that. But the other component they really, really want is our roads. And you can't bring them here and ride them on a bicycle around the potholes and everything else under the sun and expect them to come here. You just can't get them. The roads component, the schools and the safety, those are standard of life, and they got to have that. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned 48,000 new jobs. What are the opportunities that those jobs are going to go to West Virginians and not outside the state?
Okay, I've had that question 14,000 times, and I want to tell you just this. I want every single one of those jobs filled by West Virginia. Every one of them. Our tech centers, our community colleges, we're going to have to ramp up all over the place. Are they all going to be filled by West Virginians today? No way. It can't be done. It's a physical impossibility. But whatever percentage are filled today, there'll be a higher percentage filled tomorrow and a higher percentage filled the next day, and it will give us the opportunity for people to come home to West Virginia. People that now live in Charlotte and Atlanta and Denver and everything else, it will give them an opportunity to come home and have a real job, a good job and everything. It will give us, and the other flip side of it is just this. What if there's a worker here that's from Iowa and he's with a construction agency? He's still paying his payroll taxes. He's still buying stuff at the grocery store. He's still buying gasoline from us. He's paying sales tax. He's doing everything under the sun. The $64 question is, would you rather have that or not? Well, I would absolutely rather have that. Now, we want every one of these jobs to be filled by West Virginians if we can. And we want to, and the other thing is, what a great problem to have in West Virginia. Can you just imagine waking up and saying, we got too many jobs that we can't fill with West Virginians? Well, wouldn't that be a great problem to have? And then what's going to happen is more and more and more people are going to come here, and once they come here and see how good you really are and how beautiful this state really is, they may just live here forevermore. You know, that's what we want to have happen. We want to have a place where there's more jobs than we have people for. You know, that's what we want.
Mr. Governor, speaking of that, more jobs than we have people, I had a businessman tell me that one of the problems that we're facing in this nation, which I watched through C-SPAN this winter, was that we've got the drug problem, that our employers cannot pass the drug problem. So how can you address that so that these people that have this problem can get clean and be employable?
Well, now I'm gonna get in a little bit of trouble here because I got a little bit of pushback, you know, from people that are here, and I don't want to, you know, but no, that's fine, that's fine. You know, I had a way to do that with a 5% successful buyer's fee to put a lot of money in the bucket. And maybe we'll address that going down the road later on, but the net of what you're saying is just this. Whether we generate money and pump money into the drug epidemic that's cannibalizing this state, whether we do it in a bidder's fee or we do it in lawsuits or whatever it may be, we got to do it. We got to do it because we got to stop the issue that's cannibalizing us. Now, we got to bring our people back, and we got to have treatment facilities, and we got to have more social workers. I mean, can you just imagine a social worker that's trying to service 1,100 kids at 7 different schools? I mean, are we kidding ourselves? I mean, what are we doing? You know, and we've got to have more education for little teeny kids. You've got to absolutely have more law enforcement. You've got to have, I mean, to fix this drug epidemic, this is not something you can do with a Band-Aid and an aspirin. This is a big deal. And we've got to address it, and we've got to belly up to the bar and stop it. Yes, sir.
Hey, Governor, I'd like to address that lady's comment back about the jobs for West Virginia. Right here's a young guy. He got hired yesterday at our company. We design roads and bridges. He started Monday. He grew up, went to school in Parkersburg, lives in Vienna, came back, walked into my office looking for a job. If he didn't get the job, he was leaving West Virginia.
Yeah.
So right here's an example of a young guy. He's got a good paying job. I'm so thrilled. I woke him up this morning and said, come down here.
Yeah,
and that's what this is about.
And girls, look how cute he is too. Got a good job, he's cute. All right, now hold it. Everybody's asking that. Y'all went crazy on me. All right, this fella, let me get this gentleman real quick.
I have 3 growing sons. 2 of them have worked for years out of state because they cannot make the money inside West Virginia they make elsewhere. So they travel all over the country. Nomads. We've created that in our country.
That's right.
And both of them want very desperately to come back here, but they can't leave $80,000, $100,000 a year position.
That's right.
With expenses to come back for 40, 45.
But they're going to have the opportunity to come back. You wait and see. I mean, think about this. Think about this just real quick. You know, in the coal business, my son's running our coal business, but I still hear from time to time, surely, what's going on. And the net of the whole thing is, you know, everybody in the coal business, you know, probably a year ago was paying $16 an hour for people. everywhere in the world right this minute, everywhere. My son is looking for 200 people right now, 200 people, and he's offering $30 an hour. And they work about 55 to 56 hours a week. Every one of those jobs are $100,000 a year jobs, every one of them. You see, that's what happens. That's what happens when an economy starts to grow. You get competition. The only way companies can have workers is they raise wages. You know, that stops the nomad stuff. That makes good stuff happen. Now, there's a couple of people over here. I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
I just want to say, as a municipal legislator, I think it's important that we endorse this initiative. It's clearly evident that this is going to have significant impact and benefits, not only for the state, but for all the individual municipalities. You know, what's a problem is that we have some really high-profile, significant roads that are the state's responsibility. However, we get feedback from constituents saying, well, why isn't this road fixed? Or why aren't you fixing the streets? And with these street improvements that are in these high visibility, high profile areas, we're going to have the ability to attract, say, larger franchises that would have came in and evaluated our city and said, well, drove up 7th Street and it was just rough for a tater patch. So when we provide infrastructure not only across the state, but more importantly, I think inside the municipalities, we're going to have that ability to draw in franchises that might have said no.
Sure.
So I think as far as city government and our position, we need to advocate for this bond and provide support for it. And with that, I also want to mention that I'd like to applaud your courage for switching parties. That might have been a difficult thing to do, but I think it serves as an example for other people who may be looking at that option and switching parties as well.
Well, now, we can't campaign here today now, but at the same time, it was a difficult decision. It's a tough decision on anyone. But let me just say this again. I keep looking over here and I keep seeing Mitch and I keep seeing him smiling and everything. And really and truly, you got a good man as the Senate president. You really do. You got a man that he sees the whole picture. He really gets it. And I'm not blowing smoke. We went through a tax reform situation, and a lot of his people were pushing him up here, but we knew we couldn't get to where we wanted to go unless we ended up somewhere close to down here. And he just bent and bent and bent and compromised and worked and worked and worked and worked. He's a good man, good friend. Jimmy,
I know you made a great point on your 4 buckets with the lady behind.
Right.
I think her point of her question,
No, please, if I didn't get it right.
But on the 48,000 jobs that you were talking about the payroll taxes and where that will go, and you're talking about the future. You're talking about future growth because of the jobs.
Right.
And I think that was her question a little bit too, to add on.
Ma'am, that's exactly what these buckets pay for the bond. You're already paying for the bond. Those buckets pay for the bond. All the fallout of the jobs and all the goodness that's going to happen, that's just going to come back and help our state in every way. Yes, sir.
I understand the sales tax and the licensing fees, driver's license fees, bucket of money, where that's coming from.
No, there's no sales tax, but go ahead. Right. Well, that's true. Okay.
And the Parkway or Turnpike was something I scanned the article in the paper.
Right.
It said $8 user fee for toll roads.
And that
do the easy pass road, which I use 4 or 5 times a year.
Okay. Well, this is a great question. Again, this came just out of the clear blue sky, so we're going to put this on the good Lord here too. But the $8 is optional. If you want an easy pass, it's going to cost you $8. That's it. $8. $8 a year. And if you go on the turnpike and whatever like that, well, $8 is the greatest value in the history of the universe. And the other thing is, we have the ability now to raise the tolls even. Let's say we went to $4 on the tolls, which I think we ought to do. and if we do that and we go to $4 on the tolls, then your $8, you're going to spend that going through the first toll booth almost. And then there's other questions. Well, what if we toll another, like a bridge or something like that, maybe in Wheeling or something like that at some point in time? The $8 covers all that. So your $8, you go anywhere you want. If you want to do it, if you don't ever travel on the turnpike, you don't have to buy it.
But I pay more than that now.
I know you do. I know you do. If you go now from Charleston to Princeton and back, it costs you $12. So it's the best deal in the history of the world. So, you just pay your $8 if you travel on the turnpike, and you got a good deal. And you don't have to hack up with it.
Won't that bring in less money?
It will. Let's just think about this. 77% of the people that are driving on the turnpike are out of state. Even if you're out of state, you can buy an Easy Pass, okay? So let's say that the number of Easy Passes that are bought are significantly expanded. We're going to lose money on that. There's no question you're going to lose money on that. But if you raise the tolls, you're going to way more than make it up. That's what you have to do.
Okay, I support the issue.
Okay, yes, sir.
Yes, Senator Justice, looking forward to the future, once the inspection process there's one thing that concerns me is oil and gas. In my opinion, sir, what I've seen is rapid acceleration of the pay of our roads due to the increase in oil and gas traffic. And my concern is, sir, in the future, what is there in place to make sure that it's not coming out of our pockets to effectively destroy it? That's my question.
I think it's a great question, and let me answer that by just saying this. And I go back to President Carmichael, but President Carmichael and I have had this discussion 14,000 times. And that is just this, is how do we help the oil and gas people and extract more for the state from those people? How do we accomplish that? And I'll promise you that is an issue that we will solve. The bottom line of the whole thing is just this, and this is a fact. It's just a fact. Long time ago, a lot of people came to West Virginia and took a lot of timber out of West Virginia and everything, and then left. And then a long time ago, people came and took a lot of coal out of West Virginia, and then they left. And what we don't want to end up being is a third world country, to where our resources are extracted and we're standing there holding the bag. We've got to make sure that some way, somehow, and they are willing. They're willing. The gas companies are willing. Some way, somehow, we as a state significantly gain from them and they profit as well. So we've got to solve that issue. We have, I can't tell you exactly how, but we'll get that done. Are we done?
Mr. Governor, one more comment.
Okay.
I've lived through this state and seen the last time there was an aggressive road program was under Arch Moore. And I do realize that this is something very important that needs done. It was made the state very highly active, and it may have done what you're suggesting that it's going to do. Is there any area in this state that's going to be not touched?
No. Every county has multiple projects. Let me just say this. Look here. In Wood, Pleasance, Jackson, Wirt, and Ritchie County, there's 72 projects. 72 construction projects in Wood, Pleasance, Jackson, Wirt, and Ritchie counties. $159.4 million and 3,188 jobs. Right here. It's everywhere. It's the same thing everywhere, and so there's not a county. There's not a county in this state that's not going to benefit. Okay. Pam, was that them? Okay. But we're going to excuse the vice president. We're going to be mad at him for not calling on time. Listen, I thank y'all so much. God bless you. Thank y'all. Thank you, sir. I'm not shaking your hands because you still may be sick.
Yes, sir.